Morning world, it's 9:45 in the morning, it's the 24th of August 2016. Sun is at the start of Virgo, the moon is in Taurus, there's a lot of earth energy out there at the moment. More on that in a moment. Mars is conjunct Saturn today. It's about exact at the moment I speak. And the influence of this is going to linger now for the next 9 or 10 days. And the first impact of this, I think, or the first allegorical impact of this, I think, has already happened. This morning, in the small Italian town of Amatrice, at 3:36 a.m., there was an earthquake, quite a big earthquake. At the time of me recording, there's 21 deaths, and they're still finding more. So I did a horoscope for this moment. It's Amatrice, A-M-A-T-R-I-C-E, for those budding astrologers here. 3:36 a.m. Italian time this morning, 24th of October. Mars and Saturn are conjunct strongly, trine the Aries midheaven at 10 degrees, but Uranus in Aries, which is often, but not always, a significator in earthquakes, is in Aries square the Cancer ascendant quite strongly. It's not in itself a horoscope that I would normally suggest would be an earthquake chart, but now that I know there was an earthquake and looking at the chart, I can see how this could be an earthquake chart. It's not what I would expect, but the dominant factor in the horoscope of that earthquake horoscope is the Mars-Saturn conjunction. Mars conjunct Saturn in Sagittarius, being a fire sign. Now I would expect the metaphorical earthquakes to be more in areas to do with belief, religion, philosophy. I would have expected, I have fingered Italy in the past for this, but I would have thinking more along the lines of Rome and the Vatican. And it has occurred to me that because this is in Sagittarius, that there will need to be extra security around places like the Vatican, Jerusalem, the Dome on the Rock, and other major religious centres worldwide. Not suggesting, incidentally, that there's going to be any type of outrage here, but one never knows. As I say, I did not expect an earthquake. Nevertheless, I believe this is only the start of the Mars-Saturn effect. If we get away with just having this earthquake in Italy, and commiserations to those people who have died and their families, of course, then the world's got away quite lightly, but I suspect there's a lot more. Not necessarily earthquakes, but other events. Possibly geophysical, i.e. volcanoes, other earthquakes, various bits of earth movement, etc., both above land and undersea. Especially as Neptune's involved, so the undersea element does come in. I do expect rumblings, both metaphorical and literal, to be occurring more and more over the next 2 or 3 days, especially as the moon gets to the end of Taurus and then into Gemini, opposing Mars-Saturn. And then, of course, it's only 8 or 9 days until the moon conjuncts the sun. And there'll be a fairly big eclipse, square Mars-Saturn, opposite Neptune. I'm getting tired of repeating myself on this one, but we're in it. We're in the mix now, and the events of the coming 8 or 9 days are quite likely to shake us all up one way or another. As I say, the moon's in Taurus at the moment, and today is one of those days where there's likely to be developments, but nothing that's going to be permanently final, much such as another earthquake, for example. I would expect this more tomorrow or the next day, if anything else were to occur along this line, especially as we get into Friday and the moon opposes Mars-Saturn. The old Chinese philosophers gave us a blessing and a curse when they said, "May you live in interesting times." From an astrological perspective, it's really interesting times. But I've had this feeling in my head, as if my head wants to expand in the last couple of days. It's not quite headache, but the pressure that goes along with headache, and it tells me there's a sense of imminence. Something is brewing. And as I said in my video a couple of days ago, if it's not going to be collective, global, then it's certainly going to be personal for a lot of people. I wish I could be more positive about this, I really do, but big part of me suggests that even with all the crises and tragedy and trauma we've had this year, I still think this next 8 or 9 days is probably the most difficult time, astrologically speaking, of 2016. And I, for one, will be absolutely delighted once we get through to about September the 3rd, September the 4th, and nothing new has happened. Okay, I'm going to load this and get off. Catch you later, world. Speak to you tomorrow. Bye.